Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff I Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio.
And we're doing another classic for this Feminist Movie Friday because we love a good classic. Excuse my voice. I'm starting to think that I'm now going into my late night radio voice. You know, that kind of easy, smooth listening. I'm not as good as Delilah. Do y'all remember Delilah? This is a throwback as well in the 90s, 80s, I think. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about, but when I first started, somebody wrote in and said, you remind me of the sweaty ball segment from Saturday Night Live.
Okay, that actually made me choke. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a compliment because the NPR voice is a special voice that people have, and it's very soothing. I need to channel that. I need to channel that with my mixed Korean country accent that I have. But anyway, speaking of classics, yes, because Shreddy Balls is a classic, let's be honest. We're coming back with a 30-year-old classic, in fact. I feel like we do this all the time where we hit it right on the head. And yes, it is from a 1995 movie. And the fact that that's 30 years makes me, again, have a panic attack. Because what? Anyway, Moving on. And you know what? This is also one of those surprise but not surprise movies that Anney has never seen.
No.
I was like, what? And I was like, yeah, okay, that tracks. How old were you when this came out? It was 95.
I would have been like 6 or 7.
Yeah, so you were young, but you watched a lot later on, so I'm surprised that it never came back to you.
Yeah, I kind of am too. No.
No? Wow, that's interesting. So, of course, I had to make a request for you to tell us what you have envisioned or what you were thinking that this movie is about before even watching it. Because, again, I've not met many people who have not seen this movie. So I needed to know what you thought this movie was going to be about.
Yes. And I'm not sure we said it, but we're talking about Clueless.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to add that. Y'all, we were talking about Clueless. Yes, the classic. Man.
Hopefully the title would give you some heads up on that. But yes, I had not seen it. So I wrote this prediction before I watched it. And here's the quote. I think that romance will happen between the lead actress who wears iconic outfits and drives nice cars with Paul Rudd. She is clueless about how good a guy he is, and or she must confront how oblivious she is in terms of money. Also, this is not Clue. I kept having to remind myself.
Which is another classic, which I loved as a kid. Clue was one of my favorite movies. I could quote that movie so well as a kid, and I didn't even know half the things that it meant. Like red herring, had no clue what that meant, but I said it often, and I didn't know it was. Anyway, we're not talking about Clue. Correct. I liked your predictions. It was very generic.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and it's not wrong.
I have to say, when I first started watching it, and I found out Paul Rudd was the stepbrother, I was like, oh, I was so wrong. I'm going to have to make fun of myself. And I was like, oh, okay.
Well, there's a lot of questionable things in this that we're going to come back to that I was like, maybe this shouldn't have been a thing, but whatever. We're going to come back. But yes, thank you for that. Again, you were really young, so honestly not surprised that you didn't see it initially coming out. But I am surprised that it never popped back up for you because it is a classic. Like, people reference it. Videos. Ariana Grande did a whole thing with this. I think the Australian white rapper Iggy Azalea also threw a montage of it, essentially, kind of giving throwbacks. And there's been plenty since then because it's iconic. It's iconic. So this is actually a retelling of Emma, and I didn't want to tell you that. Have you ever read Emma, which is a Jane Austen classic?
No.
You know anything about Emma?
No.
All right, then. Actually, Emma is one of 2 films that stars Gwyneth Paltrow that I actually liked. And both of the films that I like with her she has an English accent, which makes me laugh. I don't think it's good either, but I loved the movies. It was Emma, which is like, she kind of has that crying face similar to Claire Danes, where everybody's like very distinctive crying face, and she does that in Emma, as well as Sliding Doors, which is another movie that we're not talking about. And so while we were looking for an inclusive film that had a director that was a woman, as well as written by a woman, as well as starring a woman, it was actually really difficult to find all the classics, because we were trying to do something lighthearted with all of these things that we're talking about. We're having some really great interviews with really deep talks. And we're like, we'll do something that's kind of easy and like a classic again, something that we would want to revisit soon, eventually. So might as well do it now. But it was really hard to find something that actually had all of those criteria met, because all of the classics that I'm like, this is hilarious, we should watch this one, was usually directed by men, which I found surprising because the writers may have been women who have pretty big names in the industry that could control. And don't get me wrong, not that men can't direct. I'm sure they're great at their job, for men. But like, it's surprising in an industry that is lacking so much when it comes to specifically directors who are women, that they wouldn't find one. But anyway, this is how we came upon Clueless. Again, one of the classics that I did want to come revisit anyway. Because yes, it's one that exists that has all of those criteria met, as well as the fact that it is inclusive enough that it actually has Black characters that are not stereotypical, but stereotypical. So I don't know if that's a plus or not, but you know what I mean. So let's jump into Amy Heckerling's 1995 classic Clueless, which has Alicia Silverstone playing the iconic Cher Horowitz, Stacey Dash as Dion Davenport, Brittany Murphy as Ty Fraser, Paul Rudd as Josh Lucas, and so many others that you will recognize, obviously. And I'm not giving, ode to them, but the list goes on and on. You can go and look them up on IMDb, not a sponsor. So let's start. Cher is a popular almost 16-year-old with high standards and a privileged life. During her trying times of finding out that she did not do so well during her midterms, she decided to not only negotiate for better grades, but also help out the lonely teachers that seem so miserable as well. So she, with the help of her best friend Dion, both named after famous musicians, worked their magic to get Mr. Hall, the debate teacher, together with Miss Geist, the ethics teacher. By the way, I did not have these subjects in high school, and this was my high school era. Did you have those subjects?
I had ethics.
Did you?
Yeah, I think it was grouped with something else, but there was ethics in the title. And then we've talked about this. I had a class that featured debate, but I wouldn't call it a debate class.
Yeah, that was in our English class, and it wasn't really that much debate. Maybe I just didn't take the right classes. Huh.
I don't know. I feel like debate was more of an after-school activity, but
yeah.
I did have a class where we engaged in it.
Okay. Interesting. So with their plans successful, she has done it. Cher's successful stint into philanthropy pushes her into doing more. And it's during this time she meets Ty, a transplant from the East Coast. She, Cher, and Diane take her under her wings to transform her to become a third in their group. All the while, Cher's stepbrother, who is no longer her stepbrother since his mother and her dad divorced, but he comes around, Josh have clashed due to their differences. But, of course, in a playful, teasing manner. Josh is a law student, I think? Because that would put him at 20-something? 20s? Anyway, a student with hopes of being in environmental law, coming to stay often with them, and was also very helpful for her father's current case, which is like a big deal, high-profile, big deal. We'd never know what it's about, though. Back to Cher's special project, Dion and she set to make Ty the new popular girl and to get her a boyfriend because, popularity means you have to have a boyfriend. Although Ty makes a connection with the local class clown and high dude, he's always high, and a skater boy. He's a skater boy. That's the part.
He's a skater boy.
Yeah, Travis. Cher advises her to find a more suitable mate like Elton. By the way, the character Elton name is actually in Emma, if I remember correctly. So they should just bring that over. Anyway, another popular kid whose father is a music producer. Also play on that. Unfortunately, Elton has eyes for Cher, and this soon crushes Ty's spirit and everybody else's plan. At the same time, a new face comes into town, Christian, who Cher is excited by for the first time. So after pulling all her tricks and seemingly being rejected, oh no, she finds out that he's actually gay, of course, and the two of them become good friends. You know. At the same time, we see that Josh rescues Ty from an embarrassing situation. Here we have a fun guest, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. Do you know who that is, Anney? Did you know that was a band?
I think they have a song that I know. It's like a really popular one.
This is the big ska era because also they featured like No Doubt in here. So this, as well as 10 Things I Hate About You, have some amazing good like ska tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Did you pick up on the No Doubt one? I'm just a girl.
Oh,
no?
At the beginning.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Just checking. And Ty becomes smitten after being rescued. And all as things turn into Ty's favor, she suddenly becomes the it girl, which is now no longer Cher. And at the same time, Cher fails her driver's test. Oh no. Cher is confused, but through her long process of trying to figure things out, she realizes that she actually likes Josh and has a crush on Josh. And the fact that her tricks won't work on Josh because, he's a college boy. Very much older than her. But anyway, moving on. But soon they find that their feelings were reciprocated, and Ty once again realizes she has a thing for Travis. And at the wedding of Mr. Hall and Miss Guy, so we have a happy ending with everybody with their respective coupling.
Yes, and fighting over the bouquet.
Fighting over the bouquet, a little bit of flashing happens, all those things. But it's okay because Cher wins. End of show. So, Anney, tell me your thoughts on this movie.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure I'll have plenty of thoughts in the themes, but I did really enjoy it. It was not at all what I was expecting, despite my vague prediction being kind of close.
Pretty close.
I was like, oh.
You're not wrong.
It was funny. Like, I thought it was really funny. There were a lot of people that showed up I wasn't expecting that I enjoyed. I didn't know Donald Faison was going to be in there.
Mm-hmm.
The accents were fun. I couldn't quite pin it down, but I really enjoyed them. And yeah, it was just kind of a goofy. It was fun as the viewer because you sort of know the punchline already.
Right.
You get that she's clueless already.
Right.
So it was sort of fun to hear her inner monologue and her trying to figure things out when you're like, no, I know this. It also had some moments that kind of I was not expecting. I got like the being held up at gunpoint part freaked me out. I was not expecting that at all. There was just a couple of beats where I was like, okay, no, I did not did not know this was coming. But no, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun one.
Right. It's fun. I think it's really easy watching. Very fun one. It sort of holds up in that at least with the stereotypes, they know when they're ridiculous. Like it's very overstated and obvious what they're doing. I will say, so let's go into the themes. Of course, friendship. The 90s really had some good setups for girls supporting girls, women supporting women. And I think this is one of those that definitely did. Ty and Dion's friendship is very like honest and brutal, but like really cute and sincere. Like you wouldn't expect it to be as chummy as they are and supportive. You expect it to be like Amber, the character who comes in as like the opposite to Cher and her foil, essentially, in the back and forth they have and the jealousy and all of that nonsense. But you also have the girls caring for girls, the whole like helping Ty. Of course, it was like charitable work in their head, and it turned into, oh no, she's really cool. type of
Yeah.
conversation. So it's really cute on that level. The late Brittany Murphy, who played this character, R.I.P., she did an amazing job. They talked about her coming in an audition and being like on point. And both she and Alicia Silverstone really kind of came up from this role. Like this was kind of their beginning and they kind of shot out into the universe. Brittany had always had that vocal talent. So they featured her singing a bit, you know, super cute. With her being like a little bit clumsy, like adorable person that she is. So it was a nice little back and forth with them, and of course the iconic lines of "as if."
Yeah.
You know that stuck around for a long while, as
Mhm.
well as Brittany Murphy's line, "You're a virgin who can't drive."
Yeah. And then the reaction Alicia Silverstone had in response to that, I was like, oh my gosh, girl, you hurt.
She's like, oh, but she says it, and she's like, that was way harsh.
Yeah.
I love that. They did say that the whole speech when she talks about the Haitians and her mispronunciation, she didn't know she was mispronouncing it. And like when people were trying to correct it, the director Heckerling was like, "No, don't tell her, don't tell her. This is too cute. We have to keep this in. No one tell her." So like stuff like that, super cute. But yes, the whole friendship I really did like, and then they come back together and like apologizing and realizing where they were wrong, and then like rebuilding that friendship into that. So I thought it was really sweet on that level. And then you have, I put charity work. I think essentially there's so much conversation about what rich people think would be charity work, and it feels like this is on point when she's helping to get all the donations for the hurricane victims and all of that, and she's like, a bong, caviar, of course,
Mhm.
skis. But you know what? You do what you can. And then her talking about her, the maid or the person housekeeper, and giving her the Italian outfits, and then the fact that she's racist and calls her Mexican, and saying that I don't speak Mexican. I'm like, yeah, yeah. So we have that, and it does kind of come to the fact that like she's means well, but she's obviously very clueless in her privilege.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of the ultimate thing with her and Dion taking on Ty as a kind of charity case in the beginning. And then at the end, towards the end, after Ty and Cher have their big fight, she's like, what monster have I created? And guess what? Ty ends up with the person she wanted in the beginning that they steered her away from. So kind of having this well-meaning but completely clueless understanding of how things actually work.
Right.
And just the way, because you do get to see, this is another thing I really love about this movie. A lot of teenage movies do this. We've talked about this before. I love how it's like they start class and then she'll go up and do her debate and then class is over. It's got to be like a 5-minute class. But I love it. But every debate you see her in, she's like just clearly not connecting. She's like, at this garden party I had, and people didn't RSVP, and she doesn't quite get it. And that's the interesting thing with her and Josh is that Josh is allegedly totally the opposite, where he's like, you never think about anybody but yourself. And there is sort of an element too of the kind of white guilt of I want to make myself feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't quite understand that either. Like she's doing a lot of this for her, not because she actually cares.
Right.
She does kind of change towards the end when she helps Miss Geist with the environmental effort. But it's still sort of, she feels bad. Right. So she wants to
right. So she needs to add this to her repertoire of like, I'm a good person.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And she does that a lot, to the point that Josh does call that out. I'm like, I'm sure this is serving you more than it is serving them. It's helping you more than it's helping them. So all of that is like very true. But in her mind, that's okay. It can be both. And then we got the theme of love. All right. So Miss Geist and Mr. Hall getting together. That's a super cute bit, awkward bit. But the fact that their bad moods could be resolved by love, such a romantic trope, that idea that, like, yes, if they're in a good mood and if they find love, that's all they need to solve all of their problems, everybody's problems, obviously. I mean, don't get me wrong, when you're excited about a new relationship, it does help and it does make you feel better, and it does, people can see that as well. But I thought that was interesting. Yeah, so when I was realizing it, I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking about this movie before I watched it and thinking about, what would we talk about in it, and I remembered the age gap, and I was like, wait, is she a senior? No, she's not a senior. She's 16. She's 16. This dude's in college, so at least, like, the very least he's 18, but they're talking about him being in law school, so he's probably at least 20. Ooh.
Yeah.
They never say his age, appropriately so, but I'm like, oh no. Oh no. No, why were we so happy with this?
It's funny because I was looking up, there was an actor that I was like, I want to know who this is. So I was looking it up on IMDb, and the first like Google results of, what people search the most was, what is the age difference?
Did you get the results of that?
I
didn't actually see that. Okay.
I didn't click on it. But yeah, and it is kind of funny because we didn't talk about this before, but Cher is at first very against dating high school boys.
Mm-hmm.
As mentioned, is a virgin, and is really happy with that, which I kind of appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
But then she sort of gets the taste for it after she meets this gay guy, unfortunately. I mean, unfortunately, that was not going to work out, but yeah. But I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be sort of a play on that because she didn't end up with a high school boy. She ended up with a college boy.
Right.
And I remember this from my time in high school. I don't know if your school was like this, but at prom, if you had somebody who was coming from another school or who was older than a certain age, you had to get a slip filled out. Like, it was a whole deal. And it was kind of like very gossip worthy. Oh, she's got a college boy or something like that.
I just remember when people would talk about it, it would be a scandal. Because what college boy wants to come back for a prom? Like, it was kind of seen as shameful for a college person, not just a boy, college person, to come back to high school, which is still like a year or two difference typically. So it was like still looked down on, like, you couldn't find anything better to do.
Well, our proms, I'm sure you probably would agree with me, but small town proms were not.
It was definitely in the cafeteria.
Yeah, ours was in the gym.
So ours was in the cafeteria, but like we all went to Atlanta to eat and then came back.
Yes.
I think we went to the Hard Rock Cafe.
I went to Ruby Tuesday one time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a winner. Ruby Tuesday. So the first prom, I can't remember where we went. I think we went to a steakhouse in Canton. If you're from Georgia, North Georgia, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I had invited a friend that had moved before we went to prom. And I wasn't dating anybody. I didn't date anybody in high school. So he came with us and he was acting like my date. And it freaked me out. I'm like, no, bro, I just wanted you to be with us. And I'm the only one that's single. So, but like he would hug me, and I was like, "No, we're not dating. We're not dating." And in the second prom drama, the guy who wanted to take me had just broken up with my friend, and so I'm very good, good friends. I would never. So I said no. We said no, and he was like, "I can take you and her," and I'm like, "That's super weird. I'm not doing that." And then I had another guy who was just a good guy friend who was supposed to go with me. But his best friend tricked him into asking another girl because they were wanting to go with pairs. Like her best friend was like not going to go unless she had a date. And he was like, he had apologized to me later because I was like, I thought we were going to go together. Oh. And so I went by myself with a crew of all my friends that had all of their dates. They went on a carriage ride and I stayed in the car.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I mean, that you could have a movie.
So that was my prom experience. But I think all of the dates, like we had at least 2 of our friends who brought. So that guy that I was talking about, he was a year older, but like he didn't go to college anywhere. He lived in town. I don't think he technically graduated high school. I think he got a GED, which is not a problem. But like he had never gone to prom before, so of course we wanted him to come. But yeah, we've never had to do a slip. Never had someone from college come back. Well, I'm sure we have. That's not true. But again, it was one of those like side eye, why are you here? Conversations. Because like, why would you come back to go to a prom in a cafeteria where the main song was, she thinks my tractor's sexy. You think I'm lying, I'm not. That was the main song for our prom.
Wow.
One of them.
Wow. That's interesting. I mean, I feel like we had there was a similar vibe, but there was also a vibe of like, I don't know, mystery. How did you get this college person to come?
Yeah. For the person, yes. For the college person, no. But yeah, seeing this person, like Paul Rudd's character, who, again, law student, thoroughly confused.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, you know, this movie is rife with, I would say, magical movie makeovers. The funny thing is, as I said, when I first started, I was like, oh my God, I'm so wrong about this prediction. Whoa. But then there's the scene where Cher is walking down the stairs in her white dress to go into what she thinks is a date with Christian. And Paul Rudd looks at her and he's like, you're not going to let her go out like that to her dad. And I was like, oh my God, I might actually be right.
And you were.
Wow.
And you were. There's so many things to that that's like, first of all, why are they drinking? The 90s did not care.
No.
I guess they don't care now either, to be honest. Like, they have to be cool. All of those things. Talking about espressos and all these things and no one really caring enough. The fact that she's driving about with no license made me laugh. I was like, wait, why are they okay with this? Were we just really strict and ridiculous? Or is this a trope that, like, we did, me being that age of what age she was, I was like, man, I wish I was like her. I wish I was cool like her. I wish I could do the outfits and the closets and the shoes and all these things. So she was actually, Alicia Silverstone was actually 18. So she wasn't too far in age when she filmed this. So all of those things are just like, wow. Like looking back at what she looked like versus what I looked like. Two different places in life. But with that, I know you had to have been loving the technology, the computer, the media, when she is basing her day on the outfit that she's going to wear.
Yes.
That was an actual program, if I remember correctly. Like they created one, I think, after the fact.
Okay, so listeners, look. You got to look this up. But basically, it very near the opening of the movie, Cher is on an old computer and she has like a graphic for the top and the bottom of an outfit. And along the bottom of the screen, you can see things like jacket and pantyhose and all this. And she's just putting together these outfits, and it'll say like mismatch until she finally is like fall fashion and she gets a match, and that's what she wears. But yes, I was stunned and very happy to witness this.
This is like the upgraded paper dolls, essentially, when you mix like different clothes. But I remember, I want to say Vogue did something like where they created this for you. So if you can download a program with AOL, like none of these are like sponsored, but you can create your own profile and try these iconic outfits, I think. if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. Listeners, I know you know what I'm talking about, so come back and tell me, some of you in my generation, because I'm pretty sure this was something that came out after because people were so excited by it. Like they get like, we would love this. Although I did not have outfits like that. A, B, I didn't have a lot of outfits, so it didn't take that much effort to put together one. This was my era of like, I would wear jeans, a t-shirt, and a flannel shirt over it. That was my go-to. Like to the point that I remember people would draw me. That would be the outfit every time. Hey, it still holds up.
Yeah.
Along with my cardigans. I've just switched it up for cardigans. And hoodies. But yeah, but it was quite funny to see that the iconic fashion, that again, her opening outfit, the yellow plaid suit, small tweed jacket and such. That's iconic. People know that. That's the outfit people mimic.
Yeah, that's what I knew.
In ode to this show, the hat that Dion wears, I remember that being a thing as well. I think like this was the era of the Jeep. The California kids, California girls in the Jeeps, and the California boys in the Jeep with the top down, which flips very easily and kills a lot of people. But you know, it's okay. You do you. Just drive carefully.
I did laugh when they got on the freeway, and it was such a dramatic scene. They were all screaming because I know that's kind of an LA inside joke, but it was also very funny.
But also, like, I've been in traffic in LA, and with the drivers that we've been with, terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying. And I say this as an Atlanta driver who was pretty aggressive in Atlanta. LA traffic is a whole different conversation. And the way they weave in and out, I knew we were going to die. But he cut the time down 10 minutes somehow. The one adventure we had, the last adventure we had in LA, they took us to back roads. I'm like, we're going to get murdered.
I was like, wow, where are we going?
But he was just as confused. He was like, I don't know where we're going. I've never been this way. And I'm like, sir, please don't tell us this. One of the funniest things. But yes. Then the cell phones, the constant communique with the cell phones. They were in
school, just on their cell phones, in class, on their cell phones.
That was the beginning too, like 1995. So I'm really surprised it wasn't the giant phones, but it was the ones with the antenna all the way up that you had to slam down. It was not a smartphone. Not a smartphone.
No.
No pictures could be taken. But I do remember that I didn't have a cell phone until I was for college. And that had an antenna. I love that phone. Man, I love that phone. It had good reception. That was before like all of the awful things happened. But with that cell phone, did they have a pager? Yeah.
They
at the very beginning.
Pager,
At the very beginning, because he was paging her the entire time.
Dion's boyfriend, Murray, was paging.
Murray.
Yes.
Donald face on, which is hysterical because they do go back and forth. And you do have a moment of like Dawson's Creek monologue or like a dialogue in which he sounds really adult. And Ty comes in and she's like, wow, y'all talk like adults. And then they simple it down, like kind of dumb it down with, yeah, this school is really good. It's a really good school. I love, like, I felt like that was an ode to that as well. But yeah, that is the classic Clueless. And we did it in the 30th year. I'm sure we'll hear more about it. I feel like they talk more about it in like July, because that was the last article. It was like the 25th anniversary. I think the 25th anniversary is a bigger deal than a 30th, but who knows? There was nothing surprising. There was nothing that I didn't remember from that movie. So I was like, okay, so I've seen this enough. I was surprised about how young Paul Rudd looked because he still looks so young.
Yeah. I had that thought too. Well, I was thinking about like all the women in the cast, and then I was like, but Paul Rudd. nothing against him, but he's the one that's like, you know, still really active for various reasons. But I was like, yeah, I mean, he still looks like that.
Yeah, essentially.
They do have a lot of talk about that in here, a lot of jokes about like, you know, getting liposuction or getting cosmetic surgery of some kind, and a lot of weight jokes, which was just very common in the 90s. Right. But they were done, like you said, pretty like tongue-in-cheek.
Right.
But yeah, they were there.
Like there was shaming, but not your typical. It wasn't very like one-sided. Was there absolute like obvious indications? Yes. It's the 90s, of course. But like it's not as horrific as some movies really go.
Oh yeah. No, a lot of it did feel very like we know what we're doing here.
Right. So there you go, Anney. Thank you for going down this memory lane. Your first time with me.
It was fun. I had no idea what was going to happen. I didn't know what I was in for.
That's so crazy to me.
And I had a good time. So I can recommend. Okay, listeners, if you have any thoughts about this or any recommendations, I know a lot of people go as Clueless for like Halloween or something. So if you have any images you would like to share, that would be great. You can email us at hello@stuffwenevertoldyou.com. You can find us on Blue Sky at Mom Stuff Podcast, or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff Will Never Told You. We are also on YouTube. We have a TeePublic store, and we have a book you can get wherever you get your books. Thanks as always to our super producer Christina, executive producer Maya, and our contributor Joey.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff Will Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.